So apparently, Acheron's light cone reveal occurred last night, and I had absolutely no idea about it. And I'm so glad someone in my Discord told me, because dang, look at those thighs. Man, I would have missed this. Oh my gosh. And the light cone stats look pretty appealing as well. Now, let's go ahead and go over this in just a moment. I did want to go over as well, comparing this light cone to some of the other light cones we have available in the game, and also why this signature light cone is so much more valued than normal for the 5-star character. Obviously, a 5-star typically wants their signature light cone, right? But it's more so with Acheron than usual, and we'll go over that in just a moment. We'll also be going over, if you guys are interested, these are the upgrade materials. They're currently available in the game, so go farm them if you're going to pull this. And we'll take a look at some of the other light cones that are going to be on her banner as well, such as Good Night Sleep Well, her second best option. So even if you don't win the 75-25, you will likely get at least one copy of Good Night Sleep Well. So let's get into this, because this is actually why you're here, right? It increases the wearer's crit damage by 36%, which is huge. That is a nice, sexy number to take a look at there. When the wearer hits the enemy target, it inflicts empty bubbles on the enemy, which is a debuff which works directly into her kit, which is huge, lasting for 1 turn. This effect can be triggered 1 time against each target for every attack the wearer launches. The wearer deals 24% more damage to targets afflicted with empty bubbles. And damage from the wearer's ultimate additionally increases 24%. So let's unpack this just a little bit here. In case you guys didn't know already, Acheron is going to be dealing big PP damage with her ultimate. It's going to be a massive number. Some people even think that her ultimate is going to be where most of her damage comes from, because if you can build that thing up really quickly, it will be the biggest number you may have ever seen on your account. So this is going to be a really, really big deal for her, because it does everything that she wants. She wants her ultimate to deal a ton of damage, which is probably where most of her damage is going to be coming from. She will be dealing increased damage on enemies afflicted with empty bubbles, and that's going to be literally every single target that she hits, for every single attack that she deals, which is going to be monstrous. So I just wanted to and then the crit damage, dude. The bubbles. So you're gonna trigger her talent, right? Giving her more stacks so that she can use her ultimate sooner, right? You're gonna deal increased damage for every attack on each enemy. Dude, this thing's absolutely friggin' insane. So let's compare this to the other light cones available in the game right now. Her second best option is Good Night Sleep Well. For every debuff the target enemy has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%. Acheron teams will have debuffers on them. She has a very specific team that she wants to be, or she has very specific teams that she wants to have, and that's Nihility characters. She needs at least 2 Nihility characters besides her on the battlefield with her in order for her kit to properly work, at least at E0. That can change at E2, but that's not necessarily relatable. And because of this, that means you are going to get all 3 of these stacks. You don't have to worry about getting all 3 of these stacks. You're going to have them with a with an Acheron team. And obviously at Super Imposition 5, this number increases to 24% per stack, stacking up to 3 times. A very, very solid light cone, and as we just went over earlier, this will be on her light cone banner, which is huge. You don't always get this in Honkai Star Rail. They don't always kind of give you this beautiful little alternative, this beautiful little gift, where if you don't end up pulling the light cone, because you didn't get lucky enough to on your light cone pulls, you have another option here with Good Night Sleep Well, and it just so happens to be her second best option. Even at Super Imposition 1, this thing is still incredibly strong. Because if you compare that, what is that, 36%? Oh, whoops, wrong light cone. If you compare that at Super Imposition 1, that's 36% more damage compared even to In the Name of the World, which I really like as a third option. It increases the damage on debuffed enemies by 24%. So that's always there. You don't have to worry about from the moment you start battle, basically you're going to have this effect on her. She's going to be able to have debuffs. She applies debuffs herself, especially with that signature light cone. So that's going to be really, really solid. And you get an extra attack percentage of 24%, which is nice. This effect hit rate is negligible. That doesn't really matter for her, okay? You also have, Kafka's Light Cone, but I don't really like it as well. Let's go over this for just a moment. It increases the damage dealt by the wearer by 24%. Again, a notable number. After every attack launched by the wearer, their speed increases by 4.8%, stacking up to 3 times. That could be huge for her. That's nice. That's sexy, just like she is. If the wearer hits an enemy target that is not afflicted by Erode, there is a 100% base chance to inflict Erode to the enemy target. Erode is a debuff. This does a lot of the same type of stuff that her signature light cone does. So you can trigger a debuff with this cone as well, which is really nice. The enemies afflicted with Erode are also considered to be shocked and will receive lightning DOT at the start of each turn, equal to 60% of the wearer's attack lasting for 1 turn. So Acheron does not necessarily care about that last part, although it is some nice extra damage. She's not able to detonate this like Kafka's able to detonate this, which is what makes this so good for Kafka. So this is a solid option, but if you have this, like, why don't you just use it on Kafka, right? You know what I mean? You can use this if you want, you know what I mean? This is an option, so consider it, just it's not going to be very relatable, I guess you could say, because, this is a gacha cone, like a real gacha cone. You can only get it during Kafka's banner. You can get In the Name of the World from the in-game shop. Every player can get this if they just save up enough Starlight, or technically as well if they get lucky enough while they're pulling for, for anything pretty much. This is a part of the gacha system. So you can get this, but not everybody will have this as an option, right? In the Good Night Sleep Well is arguably like even harder to get because it's kind of a more specific cone to have, right? And you really do want to take it up and higher in super impositions for it to really, really start to reach higher echelons of power. But even at super imposition 1, this cone is still good. And this cone will be available on Acheron's banner. So just be aware that this is a really good option and you might be able to get this more easily than something else, but you are not guaranteed to get this cone despite the fact that it is on Acheron's banner. So just be aware of that. These other cones, unfortunately, they just don't have the juice, right? It's Showtime wants you to have high effect hit rate. She don't care about that, right? Fermata gives you more break damage, and let's see here, and increases their damage to enemies afflicted with shock or wind shear by 32%. So if you're not applying DOTs that matter with that, you're not going to get it. So she doesn't apply shock, right? She applies something else. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's not shock. She applies a different debuff to enemies. So these light cones, unfortunately, aren't that good, except for Good Night Sleep Well, In the Name of the World, and Patience is all you need, unfortunately for her, which does mean that there's a good reason why people value her signature light cone so much, because it does everything that she wants and it does it better than literally every other cone. The debuff that you apply is better than every other cone. It gives you a good trigger, helping her get her ultimate. The damage you get from the debuff itself is absolutely insane. You get increased amounts of damage through her ultimate too. This thing's absolutely nuts. And that doesn't even include the fact that you get a massive amount of crit damage from this cone. Now, just so that you guys are aware, Acheron is going to be getting a ton of crit damage from the cone. She's going to be getting crit damage from her traces. She's going to need to be built for really, really high crit rate because she's going to be getting crit damage from a lot of different sources. So you're going to have to build super duper high crit rate on her in order to hit those crits for all of that crit damage to actually matter. If you're not hitting your crits, your crit damage could be 999,000. I don't give a shit. You need it. You need to have high enough crit rate for it to actually hit, for it to actually matter. So you're going to have to build a ton of crit rate on her so that all of that works. I'll be doing a build guide for her very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. I've been yapping far too much now, so if you enjoyed any of this and you want to see more information about Acheron and Honkai Star Rail in general, consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.